kind of slip through some of those tools. So this technology would really increase the confidence for consumers in blocking calls and also for phone companies to block calls. So it's possible that phone companies, may explore automatically screening out all calls that fail to verify their call ID information. So you'd have a much more kind of comprehensive way to address the problem.
If the wireless carriers don't step up to this, or the tech isn't working quite as we expect it, what do you think that the FCC or government regulators will do to try to fix this problem? Because the FCC said it's the #1 complaint that they get are these scam robocalls.
Right, so we've been calling on the FCC for a long time to require the phone companies to implement this technology. And back in 2015, the chairman of the FCC at the time called on the phone companies to take action, offer free call blocking tools, to move forward on this caller ID authentication, which is shaken and stir. And that was several years ago. So the phone companies have been dragging their feet. And that's why I think it's important for the FCC to require the phone companies to comply. Also, this technology will be most effective if all of the phone companies are participating in it because of the interconnected nature of the phone system. So it's important for the FCC to take action now, technologically, and also to ensure that the laws that protect consumers from robocalls remain strong.
Do you expect that report that we talked about, that nearly half of all mobile calls will be scams by next year, do you expect that to come true, or do you think that we will ultimately, get ahead of this?
Well, the problem is getting worse and worse. Consumers continue to complain to us about these unwanted robocalls. Because there's so many incentives for scammers to robocall consumers, it's so cheap and easy for them to send robocalls. And even if only one consumer falls victim to the scam, that's pure profit for them. So there's certainly incentives for robocallers to keep calling. So I do expect that unless the FCC takes action, the problem will continue to get worse.
And finally, what should consumers do when they see maybe it's a local call coming in that you probably think is a scam call? How should we be responding to these calls if they are going to continue?
Well, first of all, I would call your phone company and ask them what free tools are already available to opt into to identify and block unwanted robocalls. AT&T and T-Mobile offer these free solutions, and many of the wireless carriers are now offering solutions as well, although you may have to pay for them. If you do see a call coming in that you don't recognize, even if it's from your local area code, I would just let it go to voicemail. If you have time, I would complain to the federal authorities, the FCC and the Federal Trade Commission, to let them know that this is a problem and to urge them to take action.
Do you have any statistics about how many people are actually falling for the scams?
Well, we conservatively estimate that consumers lost $350 million to scam calls in 2011. That's the most recent government statistics that we have, and that's a conservative estimate.
And that's 2011, and it's gotten way worse since then. So that's pretty incredible. Do you have any final thoughts on this topic?
I urge consumers to contact their phone companies, ask them what options they have to address this problem. If they don't have good options, urge them to implement them and make them available for free as soon as possible. And call on the Federal Communications Commission to address this problem as soon as possible. I think if consumers take action and make it clear that help is needed, I think there will be a response.
Maureen, thank you so much for taking the time to come on The Newsworthy. Appreciate all the information.
Thank you.
And that's it for today, talking about the scam robocalls. And obviously, that's a news story we're going to keep following on The Newsworthy. So don't forget to listen every weekday, Monday through Friday. You can get all the day's news in less than 10 minutes on a wide variety of topics. Just go to thenewsworthy.com or search The Newsworthy wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
no incentive for them to comply with.
Talk a little bit about that, because scammers use technology to make it look like the calls coming in are local. How do they do that? How does that work?
With internet-based calling, it's easy to pretend that you're somebody else. In the same way that it's easy to pretend to be someone else online, you can input a different number to show up on the caller ID. Also, there are services and apps that people can use to hide their